Our next guest this evening is a street folk artist, a man of mystery, a talented individual named BlackCatTips. Anybody ever see some of his work around town? He's a muralist, he makes these little bears, he does really incredible stuff. And I thought it'd be great for people to hear from an artist what it's like to be an artist. Come on out, come on out. He pretends to be Southern, but don't let him fool you, okay?
What'd you say?
I said you pretend to be Southern, but don't let that fool you.
It's all an act.
It is all an act. That's what he says every time. Well, do you remember the first time we met?
At the Wendy's drive-thru?
It wasn't at the Wendy's drive-thru. It was actually at your studio because we did a podcast. I don't know if you remember.
That's right. That's right.
You remember that?
I had the brushes and you had the microphone.
I had the microphone. You had the brushes, and you had that second apartment. It was a rather creative studio process.
That's where Wendy lived.
That's where the Wendy comes in. Every time he gets me, no?
That's just where I painted.
That's just it.
I lived in one and painted in the other.
So you never know. You could be living in that apartment right next to an amazing artist that is just blowing up in Atlanta. I feel like I should let you just talk. Should I get out of the way?
Why don't you just... Well, let me just talk.
Well, step on up here.
All right,
I get out of the way.
I'll take my hat off out of respect for all y'all. All right, now, my name is Kyle Brooks, and my middle name is BlackCatTips, and my whole name is Kyle BlackCatTips Brooks, and you may think that I'm a Native American, but I'm not. But my wife does like to chew gum. My wife really likes to chew gum. I can buy a pack of gum and it can last me 2 or 3 weeks. It just depends on how minty fresh I want to be. My wife can go through a pack of gum in 2 or 3 hours. One time I rode down there to New Orleans on a bus, and a man sat beside me the whole way, and for 12 hours he chewed on the same stick of gum. My wife doesn't chew gum like that. The other night, I was asleep in my bed, and I heard a noise. I rolled over and I said, "Hey, are you chewing gum in bed?" She said, "Yes." I thought that I had discovered a new sort of animal. I opened the door to my truck, and I thought that there was a robot rabbit living in there. You see, in the console with a little indentation in the handle, it was full of little silver balls. Maybe like a robot rabbit had gone to the bathroom. But it was just little rolled up balls of gum my wife had left for me. I have a security camera on our new house. I call it a paranoia camera, because at night it tells me there's people behind the house, and that makes me upset. I imagine there's a goblin or maybe the werewolf man behind my house. But usually there's nothing back there beside an old black cat. He walks through at night and wanders around, and I see him on the camera. And one thing he likes to do is roll around on his back. That's what he does. The other night, we had a new baby, and we get up in the night with the baby, and I saw the black cat while we were up, so I tapped on the glass, and that cat ran down the driveway, took a sharp right, and went right down the road to the next house. When he got back, I imagined there was another black cat there, and the other black cat said, "Hey, did you bring me a piece of tasty fish?" He said, "Nah, I just went down there and rolled around on my back." I paint pictures for a living, if you can't tell. Sometimes I paint murals. I painted one recently right down here near the bus station. And when you spend many days outside on the sidewalk near the bus station, you see a lot of interesting folks. And they say a lot of interesting things. One man walked up to me one day when I was painting and said, "Shabba horse on, pay my bill." I said, "Who?" He said, "Shabba horse on, pay my bill." I said, "No, sir, I gotta work. Can you come back later?" He came back later. When I listened to him, he said, "Can you paint my belt?" I said, "Okay, let's paint your belt." So he took off his belt, he stretched it out on the ground. I got out a gallon of white house paint and we painted his belt. Then I said, "Let's hang it up in the tree. It needs to dry." So it looked like an old white snake, but we hung it up in the tree. Then all of a sudden this man said, "I got to go, I got somewhere to be." Okay, so we put the belt in a sack, and he left. Later, I was concerned about the quality of the paint job on the belt. The next day, he showed up again and rode his bicycle by and smiled, and I saw his shiny white belt. Now, one more thing, you see. About 2 years ago, for Thanksgiving, me and my family went down to the beach. It was the perfect vacation until one day in. Then a bed bug showed up, and it was not the perfect vacation. I was sad. The next day, a mouse showed up. At that point, my mother-in-law called the exterminator. They sent out a man with a crazy eye. He said, "Those mice are extinct." I said, "What?" He said, "Those mice are extinct." I said, "But we just saw him." I was feeling mighty down, so I thought if I painted something, perhaps that would lift my spirits. We found an old board by the road, and we brought it down to the beach. Luckily, I had packed my paints. I painted on the beach, and I made a big old sign that said, "Fresh pelican meat," with an arrow this way. I figured that perhaps I could compete with a turkey, being Thanksgiving and all. Oddly enough, I don't eat meat, so that wasn't a good idea. We took the painted sign down by the beach where the water is and the people go left to right and right to left, and nobody would look at me or my pelican meat sign. Nobody wanted any pelican meat. After that, I took the sign and I put it in front of a buffet restaurant that was closed for the season. On a final note, to end my vacation, when we rolled away, we stopped at the dumpster, and I threw all of my bed bugs and luggage right on in. Goodbye.
Kyle Brooks, BlackCatTips, amazing, amazing work. Look him up online, BlackCatTips, and his art is beautiful too. He's painting sunshine on the world. That's a good thing.